All right, we're going to try this again and see if things decide it wants to work the proper way. Thanks for pulling up here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show, a Hog Media production presented by Sleeper. I'm your host, Jay. Thanks for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to while you're here. Please wipe your feet and like, subscribe, rate, review. Give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Go ahead and give us 5 anyway and gift it. So on today's episode of the Sooner or Later Sports Show, we got a lot of fun things to dive into. Plus, we got a special guest that's going to pull up. We're going to talk about the 2026 class because it's officially National Signing Day. We're going to talk about the portal entries as well. The portal acquisitions and what that actually means. We will wrap things up with who he expects to break out, especially since now it's time for that 2023 class to pull up. Oh, man. Sorry about that, y'all. We had some issues on the technical side. So, life happened and we're going to go ahead and get this fixed up. But I appreciate y'all pulling up and joining. I got a special guest with me today. Coop is out sick. He is fighting the cooties like everybody else is. But my guy's also dealing with a little something. But he's in. We've got our guy, Colin Kennedy. 247 Sooners Illustrated. It's the CK and J show. What's going on, my man?
I am going to go ahead and apologize. This is about as least camera ready as I've ever been in my career. But when Jay texts me and says, "Hey, I'm going live by myself in 15 minutes. You want to hop on the show?" You answered the celebrity's call.
Wow.
So I was fighting a little bit of a migraine. I popped a Nick pouch, throw on some appropriate clothes, and hopefully we get through this thing. But before we dive into the show, if I could do something as I try to do for my guy over here. At time of us recording this, wherever you're watching it, whenever you're watching it, 20.9 thousand subscribers here on the YouTube channel. 20.9. Can we get that to 21? Can we go ahead and get that to 21? So make sure you're subscribing to the show. My guy does a great job. Coop does a great job. I hope he's feeling better. And if I mess up today because I'm not feeling too great myself, it is what it is.
Colin said that he had to jump in as soon as I hit him, and I appreciate it, man. I always love to get that audible going. But we've been talking about this for a bit. Travel schedule's been crazy on both ends, but I'm so glad that we were able to really get down because this is the perfect opportunity to chop it up with you. I know that over there at Sooners Illustrated, you've got all the notes and details about the class. They'll definitely talk about it over there on their YouTube channel, so please go subscribe and show them some love. If you want the insider info, definitely go check them out. Got a promo probably going as well, so we'll make sure to plug that right before the first commercial break. But I wanted to talk really about – first I want to open with this, though. And CK, I want you to, hear your boy out and tell me what you think on this initial before we jump into the 2026 class. And this is more so a big shout out to the viewers here and how majority of you always come in here with very good, level-headed conversations, critiques, all of that. Most of you do. We've got some folks that I don't understand what y'all be thinking. And let me explain what I mean. A lot of y'all are mad at me from the last video we had on Sunday when we were talking about the Senior Bowl and talking about how I'm not even mad at Jaden Ott. Some of y'all were pissed. Some of y'all said y'all were disappointed in me. I'm like, disappointed? Wow, that hit me hard. Like, I guess we have a different thought process in the fact that I get that that sometimes you're going to miss, you're going to whiff on a player, but y'all are really mad at that dude. And I mean, I'm not saying y'all are wrong for being mad. I totally get it. But man, y'all was going off on me. I think I lost like 15 subs because of that. Like, people are pissed at that situation. Right. I'm like, dang, we're there. So CK, I'm curious about your thoughts. When it comes to the whole Senior Bowl thing, we'll talk about a couple players, but really the Ott situation, man.
Jay Knott saga, as I call it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Where are you leaning now as we've gotten past and a little bit further removed from how all of this stuff was going down?
I wish it was over, first and foremost. That was one of the first things I talked about on our pod was just like the moment you think you're out of the Jaden Ott saga, it pulls you back in. And I'm getting sick and tired of it because it creates such a toxic environment by way of people who otherwise would be talking about, good things. I mean, this is the offseason. It's good vibes right now. We're supposed to be talking Oklahoma football. And yet that cloud still hovers over all of us. And so this is my thought on it. I am leaning more towards your side. You're going to have misses. Was it arguably, I don't want to say catastrophic miss, but it's a pretty substantial miss when you consider, number one, the financial loss, but then number two, the potential impact that he was expected to have. I mean, imagine if a running back of that caliber of Jaden Ott meets the expectation level and they have that element in their offense last season. I mean, that's a game changer, right? And so,
very fair point.
I think I totally understand where people are coming from with the frustration, and also you see some of the stuff out there, and we all have heard some of the stories, right? It is okay to be mad about a lot of that, but I am more with you because I say, okay, especially me working in like the recruiting space, it's like you're only as good as what you learn from your misses.
Yes.
And I think that's where I'm at is, you know what, man, if this is going to happen, get it out of the way and get it out of the way early in a year where you went to the playoff. Now, make sure it doesn't happen again, and whatever lessons learned, apply that moving forward. And hey, your operation just got a whole lot better. And if it means that this Jay Knott saga leads to that somewhere down the road, I'm okay with that.
And that's where, and same thing. Like you just, you live, you learn, you get loves, you get past it, and you understand that all right, we screwed up. Don't let it happen again. And I don't think they will. I mean, correction, it's going to happen again in some capacity because you can't bat 1,000. It's impossible. And so, like that's more so. Like I'm trying to tell a lot of people, a lot of y'all is, I get being upset. You won't get me saying that. Oh, you guys are wrong for feeling upset. No, I'm not. I'll never tell you that. I'm just not, because I'm just like, well, like you said, if he would have came in and been great, oh my gosh, we wouldn't be saying a word. We'd be happy. But because we didn't get what we wanted, I know a lot of people are upset about it, and that's okay. So with that being said, that's the closing chapter for me on that. There's a lot to talk about, a lot of great things to talk about. We've got the 2026 recruiting class done. We added a recruit this morning. Me and Colin was talking about it last night. After Jim Nagy put that tweet out, I'm like, brother, who is this? He's like, I don't know. Now we wake up this morning, he's got an article done and he's ready to go. But no, I am very happy and excited about what the possibility is with this LeBron Bauer kid, mainly because when I saw that Markel Ford that's overly excited, he's over the moon.
Correct.
Hey, when dudes are excited about they boys getting there and they talk about getting it out the mud and they gonna be busting their tail to play as true freshmen, I'm all ears now. I'm all ears. So as you went through in preparation of putting this stuff out around, Mr. LeBron, how you feel about him, CK?
Well, you know as well as anybody, because like you said, we were texting about this player last night, and I told you, hey, LeBron Bauer committing tomorrow, and I had you watch the tape, and we swapped. You got my unfiltered opinion last night. Did you or did you not? Here's what my calculated and objective stance would be. I think that there are two very distinct opinions on this edition.
Yeah.
One is a lot of optimism, and a lot of fans are saying, hey, like, I like it. I can understand it. And there are other fans or people out there who I got a few texts last night and into this morning asking or sharing their personal opinion of maybe a different preference. And for me, I've followed LeBron Bauer for a long time. He's out in Allen. I'm over here in Louisville. It's like a half-hour drive. And I've spent a lot of time at Allen on the 7-on-7 circuit. LeBron Bauer trains with one of the best defensive backs trainers in the country in Coach Flight, who I know well. And so he's learned from one of the best in all of America. Flight's clients are like Devin Witherspoon and Christian Gonzalez, who are playing in the Super Bowl this weekend. So this guy, he's trained LeBron Bauer, and then he's played at Allen, and he's played at a high level. I think two things can be true. Number one, LeBron Bauer is someone who cares and understands the defensive back position. I will take that, especially at a position like DB, right, where it's hard to find guys who can play there. It's hard to find guys who are versatile and can bring that level of play to a number of different positions in the secondary. I think that's what LeBron Bauer does. Now, is he a little bit lower on the rating scale because the physical makeup, maybe some of the athletic markers are not all that comparable to some of his peers? Maybe. But we're also talking about 4 and 5 star guys that are unbelievable athletes. And maybe they need a little bit more polish, though, to play DB.
True.
What I was telling someone this morning, as I was texting you and I was texting a lot of colleagues and friends about LeBron, was like, I think we really have to start wrapping our head around these Power 4 programs asking themselves, hey, how much do you value a roster spot being occupied at a relatively competitive level for the next 2 to 3 years? And it turns out the answer is they value that a whole lot, right? And a guy like LeBron Bauer kind of reminds me of an old school signing day take where you would see a Georgia or an Alabama or an Oklahoma take a flyer on a guy that they liked on the board, but they didn't know if the spot was going to be available or they wanted to see some senior tape. And I think that LeBron Bauer answered a lot of questions. He checked some boxes. Oklahoma had a late vacancy at corner. They told you that during the December signing period, right?
They did.
And the stars aligned. And because of all this combined, I'm okay with taking LeBron Bauer. And I'm excited for the kid because he's worked his butt off behind the scenes to get to an opportunity like this. He's known Markelle Ford since he was a kid. So he gets to go and be with someone that he's known since childhood. And for Oklahoma, you're taking a guy that there's a lot to like here. And at the very least, you're going to get a guy who's going to give it his all in practice, maybe give you some snaps in the third phase. Who knows what the future holds, but he wants to be there and he's going to potentially be around for a while.
And so, as you mentioned, we were texting and talking about it. I saw a lot of attributes of actual players we have on the roster today. Now, I want y'all to hear your boy out. Listen to me when I say this. When I initially started watching his younger tape, sophomore year, which I heard that he was pretty coveted as a freshman, one of the biggest issues is he just stopped growing. Now, Allen has him listed. Now, the school measured him at 6 foot 170. 170, like 1. So I don't know how true that is, but looking at his bench and numbers and all of that.
I can tell you that I've got some of the combine data stuff, and he's verified at about 5'11" and a shade, and probably about 165, 170. So that's
they gave him a little extra, which is okay. Right, I'm not gonna knock a school.
What I tell you, you do the recruiting 2 and 10. You go about an inch or two down and 10 pounds lighter.
Exactly. And exactly that. And that's what I was thinking between 5'10", 5'11", and that's not bad. I'm okay with that. We have corners like that. But when I watched them, and I'm gonna put this up here because I think this is why I want people to understand why I was saying this.
Yeah.
Initially watching him in his sophomore tape and then looking at senior tape, I saw a little bit of Cortland Guillory, and that's the dog side of him. And then I saw a little bit of J.J. Newcomb, who came from Arizona. I saw some of that with the physicality with him. And this is why I say that. Now, I don't think that today he's not Cortland Guillory level of ability. He's not there yet. He's got work to do. True. This jumped out to me, dog. 6 blocked punts, 4 blocked field goals, 3 onside kick recoveries. You know what that means? Screw the rest of the stuff. Those 3 things right there tell me one thing. Dude has effort. And he is not going to stop playing hard. You can't get that from a lot of people, right? Like that is when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that is impressive. I am impressed with the fact that you can get 4 blocked field goals, 6 blocked punts. Like you have to actually hustle. That's the Peyton Bowen set. That was the thing that I loved most about Peyton Bowen is that I knew that he was going to give you all kinds of effort. That impressed the hell out of me with that. Like looking at the numbers, everything else, cool. Those 3 things said, oh, this is why. And Nagy said it a couple of days ago. I recall him saying, screw the rating system and all of that. Our focal point here is we want dudes with some dog in them. You want dudes that grind, ready to work hard. LeBron Bauer may not be at the attributes level yet. He may not be at the skill set just yet. But damn if it ain't going to be because of trying. Like, if he doesn't get there, it ain't going to be because he was lazy. Those things make me feel like he's got the effort and the mentality to try to be as successful as possible.
Yes. It's interesting. My passion for football theory and evaluation over the last few years, I was lucky enough to read like a pamphlet that Nick Saban helped put together about scouting players. And, he's a big guy. And one sentence that I read from Nick Saban in this like scouting study that I was doing was, Saban talked about how, look, we can talk about heart and hustle all we want, but if you got a roster full of heart and hustle type guys, you're just going to lose games in like a really emotional way. But his counter to that was, if you have guys who care and they have the elements to be a good football player long term, and they have clear ability and talent, then you have the perfect mixture to go out and win games in the short term and the long term. And I think that's kind of what LeBron Bauer is here, right?
Yep.
I don't view him as strictly a heart and hustle guy. If I did, there would be a problem. Why I think Oklahoma fans should be excited about this player is kind of what I was discussing earlier. This is someone who can play all three positions in the defensive backfield, perimeter, corner. I could see, the boundary field stuff, maybe safety and slot. I think there's the ability to kick inside and guard in the interior. There's also the third phase stuff, right? And I think Cortland Guillory you brought up. I mean, Cortland Guillory is also an insane athlete who cares and had some pretty incredible offensive tape. While you get excited about LeBron Bauer as he's getting ready to make a play on a ball here, this is someone who has proven on-ball production. Multiple interceptions, multiple pass breakups. I should mention, too, was named the 2025 Allen Eagles team MVP by the coach.
Boy.
That's Allen's coaching staff naming him the team MVP. I would label that notable because the other thing that I would bring up, the third phase ability is what really stands out. You have got to find guys who are going to stay in your program, develop and learn your systems, and they're going to give it their all. And what we all have learned over the years is an incredibly important part of the game in special teams.
Yes.
LeBron Bauer has shown you he's not only willing to play special teams, he's going to make an impact on special teams. Will that translate to the collegiate level? That's not the time to debate currently. Nope. He's sure as hell going to try to bring a similar impact. And for that, plus the other reasons I mentioned, like I admire the shot taken here because, again, when you go down your checklist as a quote-unquote evaluator, there are things that green light for you as you're going down the list.
Exactly. And that was what jumped out to me is, like you said, he's going to play special teams and he's going to play it with enthusiasm and focus, which there you go. That's all that matters, right? That's what you want, players that want to be here. You want players that want to be on the field. And if anything, it pushes everybody else around him because he's going to be considered a try hard or go hard. He's going hard. Why is he going so hard? Everybody else around is going to be like, coach is going to be like, well, he wants to play. You don't want a whole bunch of dudes that's just kind of chilling.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good late eval. I know that he mentioned in one of the articles I saw that his focus was like Arkansas. I think Arkansas was recruiting him heavy. He was probably going to end up there. Coaching staff changes, and then things kind of quote unquote fell apart. And from there, he started to get a lot more calls from some P4s. I mean, Tech, of course, was in there. You had Arizona. Oklahoma comes here at the end. You had, like I said, Arkansas was in there. TCU. So you had some of the Big 12s. You had a couple of SECs. It appears that they, because of their push, and then when Oklahoma pulled up on him, he was like, yep, I want this. Now I'm wondering, was this a Jay Valai special too with Nagy and the staff? I'm wondering if Valai was heavily involved in this. I know he sent the little heart emoji deal when Valai put out his statement. Shout out to him. I ain't get to ask you about that though. We gonna transition right into that, and then we're gonna go right into the 26 class. Valai bouncing out to the NFL. What you think?
Yeah, I first of all, I'm extremely happy for Valai.
Yeah, because that's your dude. Like, I know that's your guy. You met him a while ago.
I met I was one of the first coaches when I came back to cover Oklahoma. When I came back from Tennessee, I go to a lot of coaching clinics down here in Texas, and Valai has spoken at a couple that I've been at, and I've been able to watch him present. I've been around obviously when he's interacting with coaches, and there was one specific presentation I watched with Valai, one of my first few weeks back at this clinic, and I'm watching. I'm just like, man, this guy, like, he gets it, and you can tell he's an excellent teacher, and that guy cares about the intricacies of the position as much as anyone I've been around, which I do find cool. And a big reason why he's going to the NFL, right? But his passion for it, right? And you can tell that all these corners. I remember when OU did the summer practice videos before this season, and all the corners are making fun of Valai, but they're all making fun of Valai with him talking about, eyes, keys, responsibilities, all these different things about the position. And that's Valai, man. He has been very cool to watch talk about the defensive back position. He has helped me learn about DB play, and I'm always looking to acquire information as someone in the evaluation space. And Valai deserves the NFL, and I think he's going to thrive at the professional level. I think he's built for it. He deserves it. I know it's something he wanted to do too, and to get that opportunity with a guy like Jim Leonard, who he knows. And by the way, like, one of the other sharper defensive back minds in all of football.
Yeah.
Pretty great. And
you beat it.
Oh, by the way, like, you don't have to deal with the current landscape that is college football either. So I'm fired up for Valai, and it creates one hell of a vacancy too at Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I know that he's always wanted to get into the he wanted to get into the DC space. I know that that's been the talk or whatnot for him on a bit, is that he had interest being a defensive coordinator. And like I said, getting back with his boy Jim Leonard, who played ball with him at Wisconsin. The Notre Dame one was interesting because Chris Ash, who was a coach at Wisconsin when he was a player,
correct,
was another tie. And I'm just like, dang, there's so many connections, so many webs weaved in this that made me wonder how exactly that was going to come together. So, okay, well, let's jump, take a quick breather. I want to talk about this
I do want to come back to the cornerback coaching vacancy though, because I want to ask a question. We'll talk about it in the show.
Let's talk about that on the other side. Shout out to our partners over there at Sleeper. If you have not checked them out already, come on, y'all. Y'all know, we've been talking about it the entire season. They've been the presenting sponsor, so we appreciate their love and support to what we're doing. And they're hooking y'all up. Super Bowl week, use our promo code UNFAIR. They'll match your first deposit at 100% up to $100. And as you know, it's more than just a daily fantasy season-long fantasy, even more than daily fantasy, if you want me to be honest, because a lot of breaking news and updates show up for all sports. I've seen all the stuff from the trade deadline in the NBA, all the way to the transfer portal stuff. All that stuff populates in the application. And if you want to get into the action and get into the games, it's Super Bowl Sunday. It's the last opportunity on the football front, and NBA All-Star break is coming up. So make sure you check it out. Download the app. Use our promo code UNFAIR. They'll match your first deposit at 100% up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. We got Colin Kennedy from Sooners Illustrated 247. Make sure you go check them out. They got what's the promo code that we got going on right now since the off season is officially here?
Sooners Pod 60. It's pretty much exclusively on this show and then our show. So if you listen to Jay's show and you put in Sooners Pod 60, you get 60% off your year-long subscription. So hop over to SoonersIllustrated.com, capitalize on that deal, get access to the entire 24/7 Sports Network. And at the end of that year, you get a free Paramount Plus subscription with your 24/7 Sports subscription. So,
and I have used that, so I'm not going to lie to you.
UFC is now on Paramount Plus, and
it is.
As a Paramount employee, I was like, "You're damn right, I'm tuning in."
I'm in there like swimwear. Yeah, so
$3.99 too. Yeah,
exactly. Hey, you get both for you get both for the 2 for the price of 1. So it's totally worth it, especially because we're all college football sickos, and we love to make sure that we're in the know. All right, CK. You had a question about the Valai piece. Let's just jump into that, and then we're going to jump into the 26th class now that it's officially complete.
Yeah, so we don't have to spend too much time on this, but now that the vacancy has been created, Jay Valai, like we just talked about, big shoes to fill in Norman. I
Big.
thought he was someone who on the staff maybe got overlooked at times for the job that he did, but man, I put together the hot board at Sooners Illustrated, listed off 11 names, so subscribers can check that out. But you think about it, this cornerbacks coach position is going to be coveted by so many damn good coaches across college football and maybe even trickling into the NFL. And so my simple question to you and to the chat, because I'm looking to the chat, and I've been asking a lot of fans this: who do you want as the next Oklahoma cornerbacks coach, and why? I'm curious.
Yeah. Who do y'all want? So for me, there's so many options. Like I dropped a video right after it was announced Valai was leaving, and I had a few names that were initially on my list. So my initial list, and then I started noticing that the list that I was putting together, a lot of you all, the experts out there and the insiders, had similar coaches on there, right? Like I was looking at Xavier Brewer, the current defensive analyst. He's been here since BV got here, former Clemson player. So of course he understands the defense, and he was a grad assistant at Clemson. So he's been on BV's hip for a long time. So I totally could see that they would be like, you know what, we're going to do an internal hire. Now, granted, they didn't do that with Skolsky at the linebacker spot. They brought Wes Goodwin as well as Nate Dreiling in, and they did something different. So I'm like, okay, possibility we're going to go on the outside. You could look at like a Dominic Franks in Tulsa, right? He's a former player, played for BV, should understand BV's defense, terminology, all of that, and he's been a cornerback coach for a bit. I looked at Gabe Lynn, who's now at UCLA, spent time at Colorado, and he's been doing some moving around. And then it was a Chip Vinny, who's another coach. He's at Arizona. He spent time at Oklahoma, years at Oklahoma actually, and he was here during BV's first stint. He was considered one of the up and coming guys I've been hearing about for a while, and Arizona's not too shabby in the secondary. When he was there, he had Takario Davis for 1 year, and that was probably his best year. So it's always an option. But then you had to get into those names of people that actually have experience. The biggest one, the one that I'm thinking that would make the most sense, honestly, Colin, Mike Reed at Clemson. I know when BV came here, he was basically just, pillaging every single Clemson employee. He was doing basically what Kurt Cignetti did at Indiana. He was looking at every single defensive staff member that knows his stuff and said, hey, come with me. Now, Miguel Chavis was the only one, if I'm correct, that wasn't an actual position coach and got elevated. But he obviously showed you within these 4 years he was ready. So, but Mike Reed didn't follow, which I thought was odd, but he stuck there with Wes Goodwin. So, okay, I can understand that. Wes is gone. Mike's there basically the last man standing. Kind of makes sense that he would be, pick up the phone and call him to come back in. Say, hey, you sure you want to stay over there now that everybody's gone? You sure you don't want to come join your boy? I could see that one being the one that happens. He would make the most sense because of, like I said, understanding the system, working with BV for so long, plus he's very experienced. And it sounds like it appears to me that BV's most likely going to go after somebody with experience, if anything. I don't see him elevating someone that only has a couple of years of experience at DB, but I do see that Xavier Brewer will eventually, Coach Brewer will get a position there, because I don't think Nate Dreiling or Wes Goodwin are going to be here for the long haul. I could see one of them getting another DC spot, and that's where they end up leaving in the next couple of years, and that gets Brewer an opportunity to go Cheetahs, where he was working a couple of years ago. I think, are you muted, CK?
My fault. I didn't interrupt you, but all great points. And like I said, I don't want to spend too long on it. I have just been curious to get the pulse of the fan base because it's so intriguing. And the three names that I think are pretty much widely agreed upon right now are Mike Reed, Dom Franks, and Chip Viney. I think that's kind of the trio. I'm all for Xavier Brewer. I think Brew is very much kind of that blend of Venables and Valai, having learned under both and Brandon Hall. True. So if Brew gets it, I'm going to be extremely happy for that guy because I think it's an earned and deserved thing for him. But man, I have ran into Mike Reed before at a spring game down here in Texas. And we had a conversation. It was one of my first spring games back several years ago. He was recruiting a corner. He was up against Texas. He ended up winning that battle. And talking to him for 15 minutes, I was like, you can see why. Like, you can see why this guy is who he is. I think Mike Reed would be a home run hire. I am curious to see how feasible that is, considering, like you mentioned, it didn't necessarily work out the first time around for whatever the case may be. But, man, whether it's Reed, Dom Franks, Viner, whoever else, like I am very excited to see who gets this job because I think it's going to be one hell of a coach either way.
Absolutely. And like you said, this is a very coveted job, especially the way this defense performed last year. And you get to work with two, not one, but two freshman All-Americans in Cortland Guillory and Eli Bowen. Why wouldn't you want to have that attached to your name? You know that if they continue on the trajectory that they've been on, they're going to the league. That makes you look good just as much as it makes Jay Valai look good. Like they can say, well, hey, that was Jay Valai's boy. You didn't do anything. Okay. I kept it going, didn't I? Where's the argument? Where's the argument? You can't argue against it because, if anything, what we would like to see is more turnovers at the DB spot. We'd like to see more interceptions. We'd like to see guys go, find the ball, trace it, hit the high point, and not only chase hands. Like, you want to eliminate those over the back of the head catches that we've dealt with over the last couple of years. You would like a little bit of a different philosophy to add to things. We'll see if that happens, but I'm here for it. So, no, I like that. Y'all jump in the comments. Let us know who y'all are liking. I see that Jimmy hit us with Vinay. I can totally see that. Get Mike Reed on there from Peanut. I'm totally here for that. And Chaos gives us Brew. Of course, a lot of people like Coach Brew. I am 100% here for that portion as well. So, okay.
26 class.
26 class. All right, CK,
hey,
we're here.
Sources are saying it's actually signing day. Can you believe that?
Bro, look. For the uninitiated out there, this is the official National Signing Day actual date. This Wednesday, today, is the actual date where you have national signing. So some people were asking, like, wait, how are we picking up more kids for the 26th class? Like, wasn't that done?
Yeah.
No, December's early so that they can do early enrollees. Now, I honestly would like to understand better, truth be told, why don't they just go ahead and make early signing day the actual signing day? Just get it over with. Make that just the day and be done. Because then at that point, that's it. You ain't got to think about February. You got to think about it. Just make one date. Get rid of the early. Just make it that the day, because majority of these kids, they're going to go enroll early anyway. Like, that is the entire plan. The whole purpose of the December signing day is so that kids can enroll and be in spring practice, especially that can early enroll in college, right? Why don't we just do that? Why don't we just eliminate it?
I'll tell you right now, it's because we got so much coach movement going on too.
Yeah,
I don't know that they can ever eliminate the February signing period with the coaching landscape being as lawless as it is either. And I was at the Navy All-American Bowl, and I talked to a highly ranked recruit who was going to go to a high-level program, but it was one of several who had a coaching change. And he ended up not signing in December. He was still committed to the program, but he talked about, hey, I just wanted to take a beat, be with my family, make sure I'm checking all my boxes, and still have that option out there for me if I need it. And I know we talk a lot about player movement, but man, in the era of player movement, they're never going to do away with February as long as all these coaches are changing jobs in December.
Yeah, that's a good point. So if you want, ladies and gents that are watching us, if you have questions as we talk about this class, put them in the comment section. I'm going to be starring through them. Plus, if you want to jump to the top of the list, Super Chat always helps out. And you can also do that because Colin does a weekly Q&A over there at 247 over there as soon as Illustrated. So definitely jump in there. I like to ask random questions to make sure that he understands that I'm still alive, even though I don't get in there all day, every day. But no, I want to talk about this class though, because, okay, 16th in the nation, not the highest class we've had before, but still got a lot of people. I feel like as we're going to talk through this and the portal class to go together, I feel like they're now intertwined. This is one of the more efficient classes that I think Brent Venables has put together, especially with what they were dealing with the negative recruiting and, the fact that they got Jake Kreul to commit in August when everybody was like, well, Oklahoma's going to be lucky if they get to 7 wins this year. And they go to 10 wins and you get Bowe Bentley early. And then all of a sudden you see the floodgates open with not only success, but kids saying, hey, let me go ahead and take a gander at it. But this does feel like a very efficient class, and I say that in the, outside of the native recruiting pieces. A lot of the players on this list are ones that will either play early or they're going to be they have potential to be really good depth pieces. And my point behind that is when I talked to Nagy at SEC Media Days, one thing he made mention of is that like in his mindset, he don't want to pay somebody that's not going to play. Right? Like almost immediately. That's the philosophy some of these schools are taking with the 5 stars. And so if you see a school with a bunch of 5-star players, those are players that they're probably going to find a way to get on the field because since everybody getting checks now, the mindset is if I'm paying you, I need you on the field. We can't be doing this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm seeing out of a lot of this. So talk to me, man, when it comes to the rounding of this class, how you feeling about it? Let's talk about a couple of players that I guess jump out on both sides of the ball. But let's start with offense because I feel like that's the side that really needs the most attention right now.
Sure. I will tie this into what you were talking about. So I wrote this back in December. There are 3 primary themes for me when you talk about this 2026 signing class, and I'll trickle into the offensive stuff a little bit. The 3 things that jump out, first and foremost, when you bring up Jake Kreul, and then you go to the quarterback position with Bowe Bentley as we dive into the offense. Crown jewels, committed and kept, both Jake Kreul, who was like their top defensive target in this cycle, and then Bowe Bentley, their guy at quarterback, both committed prior to the start of the season before Oklahoma could prove itself on the field.
Yep.
And then they stuck with that pledge all the way through. Far easier said than done on both sides, especially when you're talking about 2 players of that caliber, the positions that they play. Oklahoma went out, got its 2 top targets in theory, and held on to them all the way, even before there was a product to pitch in front of them, correct? The other thing that really stood out, and as we dive into the offensive class and whatever, the 1.5 scholarship rule is what I call it, which is basically versatility and depth is key. And then needs addressed, but shots being taken. So I'll make this as brief as I can. I call it the 1.5 scholarship rule because in today's day and age, you need guys who can occupy a number of different position groups in the event that you lose another player at a similar spot. And when I look at the offensive line, one thing that really stood out to me was when Jim Nagy was up there at the podium, he was talking about how they're not going to take any offensive lineman who cannot play multiple positions.
Yep.
That's very much the case with guys like Deacon Schmidt and Noah Best. Deacon Schmidt can play tackle and guard. Noah Best can play all 3 interior line spots. You have to employ the 1.5 scholarship rule because whether it's offense or defense, you should be in today's era of changing players and changing rosters, potentially having a guy who can immediately backfill a vacancy. That's huge. And that's the name of the game of that is versatility. And through that, you must address those needs because typically those spots where versatility is key, they're premium position groups, offensive line, defensive back, so on and so forth. And then you take a couple of shots if you trust in your eval with all this in mind. And I thought, when we talk about the defense, it'll be like a Christian Moore who they ended up getting late in the cycle and some of these other guys. But Oklahoma needed to go get a big-time running back. They needed a big-time wide receiver. And they said, we're going to get this done. We're going to figure this out. And they were fierce in their pursuit of guys like Jonathan Hatton Jr. and Jaden Petit. And looked how it worked out for them. So I love the fact that, especially on this offensive side, and we can get into specific names, they're getting several players who play a number of different positions, provide depth, but also go and be impact players, like you mentioned, go play here pretty soon. And for that reason, I love this class, and I like a lot of these offensive players as well.
I'm big on the Bowe. I'm big on Bowe. I'm big on Jonathan.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm big on Petit. Jonathan Hatton's, of course, my dude. If anybody knows me, they know the name that I talk about the most is my guy Hatton. Like, he is the one that makes me say, yeah, he's going to find a way to start, hopefully, in the within the next year. He's going to be the one that they're going to have to fight just tooth and nail to keep off the field, because he's just that good to me. Like, he's already coming in. I think the measurements 6'1", 220. Like, that's what he said he is legitimately. And I'm like, oh, if that's the case, he's going to be something huge. I'm here for that. Like, I think Stoops has even said this about the kid, even seeing him, but I know I've said it numerous times. I'm sorry. He reminds me of Peterson in a way. He's already big. He's already strong. He runs with violence, right? And it seems like every time he touched the ball down there in San Antonio, he was gone. And it's like, wow, how does that happen? I just don't get it. He's good. I'm excited about him the most. Like, Bowe Bentley, to me, I don't know if he starts as a redshirt freshman, if he pulls a Julian Sand and gets that job in a year once Mateer is gone. I don't know if he holds back Jet New, who knows the system now, the second year with New Bauer, or if they bring in a portal quarterback and prep to give him a bridge between the two. Because if you know how this game works, truthfully, yes, it's nice for the quarterbacks to get paid today, and it's nice for them to go ahead and play a lot if possible. But you really only need about a year. Look at Ty Simpson. You get about a year out there and you show out, you good. You're going to get drafted. That's what your goal is. It should be, at least. Not really getting rich in college. But I can see Bowe playing early. I can see Bowe also not really playing until, maybe redshirt sophomore year. Maybe one more year he gets ready. But he's got the talent. But Jaden, he may find a way on the field. But I think there's one player that on the offensive side that I think might actually sneak his way out there, and that's Jasir Rogers. Yes. The way everybody's talked about him, saying, hey, man, if he was in Texas, he might be a 5-star. That's how athletic the kid is. I don't know. But watching the film of Spider-Man, I'm just like, oh, I see why he's in Delaware, unfortunately. And we need to get you down into an area where you can play against some other dogs and see if you really – I think he may be one that could sneak on the field. Offensively, but of course, Hatton, we all believe that there's a chance he could end up on the field. Who else? Who do you think may play early as a freshman?
I'm glad you brought up Jasir Rogers, because this is the guy for me. Besides, quote-unquote, the big three of Bowe Bentley, Jaden Petit, Jonathan Hatton Jr., the highly ranked prospects. Jasir Rogers finishes for us at 24/7 Sports as a 4-star recruit out of Delaware, and so much of it comes down to the aggressive nature of play at the receiver position. Let me tell you this. If you're going to get the nickname Spider-Man, you better not be a scrub, right? You better play. You better play like Spider-Man. He plays like Spider-Man. I mean, he does. The catch radius and the ability to attack the ball relative to his frame at about 5'11", it's pretty rare. It's somewhat out of the ordinary for a player of his structure. But I like that he's this like dense, compactly built, kind of a bouncy athlete who can go make plays beyond his frame. And then, oh, by the way, because of that, I think that there is, again, kind of like that 1.5 scholarship rule where some players at his size might be limited to the slot. Even though he's 5'11", maybe he is 5'10.5". We'll see.
Right.
I do believe, though, that he could still potentially kick outside and play some perimeter receiver because of his ability to attack the ball at the catch point. And I love that. I love what Oklahoma did here in going after this guy somewhat out of the blue. Because if you'll remember, he had a pretty solid recruitment, and then all of a sudden I mean, it picked up for him. And
Fast.
Oklahoma got this thing locked up quick. And I think that they did a really good job not only to identify and pursue, but to hold off. Because I can tell you, like, Jasir Rogers was one of some of these guys in this class that ended up getting a few phone calls over the last couple of months. And I think this guy has a case. I think he certainly has an argument if he gets in there and does what he needs to do.
Yeah, he's the one that every time I look at him and go back and watch the film, I'm like, yeah, like you said, he's not a scrub. And again, if you're going to have a name Spider-Man, you better not be no dang scrub. He does look like he crawls up walls. He look like he played baseball too well, right? He can go out there, center field, climb the wall, and make the catch. He has that type of athleticism. And you love that from a wide receiver because you're going to need him to occasionally climb up the DB walls, climb up, get the catch, and make sure they don't take that from him. So now the good thing, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say too, if you were looking at transition, there's another guy that really jumps out in this class, not as far as like a play right away, but if you're asking me, give me someone besides the big three who's going to play away, and then give me someone besides the big three who in a couple of years has a chance to be a real problem.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. I
want to know your under the radar guy that maybe needs some time. For me, the answer is undoubtedly Tyler Ruxer. Undoubtedly Tyler Ruxer.
Yeah.
Again, as a nerd, as a player personnel nerd, when Jim Nagy goes up there and says, hey, man, we found Tyler Ruxer, a 6'4", 220-pound tight end, skimming track times, and we found him running sub-11 at 6'4", 220, I was giggling. I was giggling watching the press conference. I was like, oh, boy, that's my language right there.
That's some shit I would do.
Yeah,
I would skim sometimes and be like, wait, this dude's huge. Like it goes to the DK Metcalf storyline, right? Like a lot of people understand. If you don't know, for the uninitiated, DK Metcalf went and ran for like the Olympic preliminaries. He ran and he finished like, I think 8th out of 9 or something like that at like 6'4", 240 pounds. He was like 40 pounds bigger than everybody, if not more, and a few inches taller. It's kind of like Nick Harbor you see at South Carolina, who is a track athlete while being a ginormous human being. It's like if you just cut down 20 pounds of the extra weight that you're hauling, you'd probably be a silver medalist or bronze medalist in the Olympics.
Yep.
That is exactly where I'm at. I agree. Tyler Ruxer. Ruxer was the one for me as well, because when I saw that same thing, when I heard Nagy say that, I'm like, oh, you are a sicko. Yeah. You're out here looking for you for real. When people say we are looking outside of the box for players that could really fit into the as difference makers for us, that is the perfect example of it. That is thinking outside the box. It's finding someone skimming track records. That is so dope. Like, oh my goodness, you found a dude sub-11 at that size? Now imagine, Jared Kanig's another example of that. The bigger difference is that Kanig didn't really play tight end. He was a wildcat. He just went out there, quarterback, running back. He did everything, but he never really had to do the blocking stuff, whereas Ruxer did. That was his job, while also just being an absurd athlete. So no, I love that one. I'm at to just tag along with that one because that's probably the dude on the offensive side I would say the same thing about.
Is there anybody else on the offensive side of the ball that you are compelled to talk about before we go defense?
Deacon Schmidt.
Yeah.
I feel like he could go out there and push for 2 deep early. He's got the size. He's got the strength. I've watched him train. He looks like one. He's going to be able to walk in and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, come on up here. You're just going from scout team to 2 deep. Get up here." He looks like he's college football ready. He's already he's 6'5", 320 already. So he's big. He's probably bigger than that, not going to lie. If he's healthy, yeah, and he from Colorado, so a little bit of altitude, so he's probably got better wind than most because of that. Yeah, think Deacon Schmidt might be one that might surprise a lot of folks and
for sure
cause problems.
I mean, he also just plays like a bully, which I appreciate as an offensive lineman. You can tell he wants to make the other players on the field quit, which you need to have that mentality as an offensive lineman. The quick one for me before we go defense, Xavier Okafuluweze is going to be one that I am desperate to see how this works. Because, again, when you talk about your checklist, measurables, check plus, athletic ability, check plus, multi-sport background, check plus, two-way snaps, check plus, tape pop, check plus. Incredibly raw, arguably has no idea what he's doing yet.
Nope.
It's like when you talk about the recruiting rankings and projections towards the NFL draft and guys like this who you're really trying to figure out how much to bet on them long term in their developmental process, like Xavier for one, like I cannot wait to see how this goes because man, that is someone with every God-given ability you can imagine. And he is only scratching the surface of his potential. And if it goes well for that kid, hey man, that's a different athlete on this list, folks. That really is different. And he's a great kid too, by the way. Like
very.
Anyway.
That's a good one. I like that as well. I remember watching the tape on him. I'm like, his tape truly does remind me of Elijah Thomas's. Like smaller school, just dominate the hell out of everybody. But you're like, oh, if he gets refined and he can play in the flow of the offense, oh my God, he'll be a problem. That's typically your challenge. Like Stevie, the biggest sleeper that I had out of all of them that truly isn't a sleeper, but actually we don't talk about him anymore. Daniel Odom. He's a big boy. Like, I mean, you come in at 6'2", almost 200. And, with the whole saga with Jaden O'Neal, shout out to him. Hope he does well at Florida State. Only when we play them is the only time I don't want him to do good, but I think he'll do well. But Daniel was supposedly, a combo package with him. And I went back and just watched him. I was like, let me go remind myself of what I liked about him. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see why I liked his game. Like, he plays well in the flow of the offense on top of being he's a threat deep. He's a threat across the middle. He did it all. We don't talk about him, but it's more so because he's already a highly rated kid. So it's kind of hard to talk about him. Like, oh, well, he's going to be a sleeper. He's a 4-star, right? He's actually a pretty highly rated dude. Well, kind of expected.
It's interesting with Odom because he's kind of the polar opposite of Xavier in that Odom has been on college radar since he was in 8th grade.
Yep.
However, Xavier is like this traitsy, toolsy, freakish athletic ability. I mean, just a different level of athlete. However, still has a lot of growth as a receiver to get done. Odom is set. Like, he is a receiver, correct? But maybe there isn't the basketball background like Xavier, or it isn't 6'4" and 80 wing, and it's. But Odom is a receiver, man. He is a football player. And I've watched him in person in 7-on settings, and he is all ball. And I think Odom just gives you an extremely high floor as a wideout. And he's a sleeper because it felt like because he's just a football player and has been known about for so long, he kind of coasted under the radar, even though it wasn't always a guarantee he was going to be part of this class.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there was a fear that he was going to, as soon as Jaden O'Neal bounced, he was going to decommit. And then you started hearing the stories of him potentially going to do visits, probably open things up, which fair, because you were coming with your quarterback. A lot of wide receivers, if you have that connection that gets recruited, that happens. But then he didn't. He's like, nah, I'm good. So, all right, I think I want to let's jump over on the defensive side. We're going to take a quick break. Shout out to our partners here at Sleeper. I'm going to make a couple of picks for you all. Let's come in here and make a couple of picks. We'll take this quick break to shout out our partners here at Sleeper, the presenting sponsor of the channel this football season. They've been awesome, and you guys have been great too. You have checked it out. Those that have seen some of y'all win a little bit of money. And if you want the opportunity to do that too, use our promo code UNFAIR. They'll match your first deposit at 100% up to $100 on the daily fantasy front. It's very easy to do. You come in here, you pick 2 or more players, more or less in the stats. We're going to ride with, I want Sam Darnold as my free pick this time around. Give me Kenneth Walker. Drake May is also a free pick at 31.5 rushing yards. I'd take less on that, but we're not going to touch it. I think Cooper Kupp's going to be used a lot. Same thing with Jackson Smith and Jigba. And, of course, we ride with our boy Ramondre Stevenson. Why? Because he's a Sooner. And why wouldn't Stephon Diggs score a touchdown? But that Seattle defense is big time good. I'm going to take less on him. Give me a little bit of action. DeMarcus Lawrence, he's going to get a sack just to piss off the Cowboys fans. And I think Boutte does not actually really play much. So we'll take him less on the 2.5 when it comes to his catches. But it's very simple. Pick 2 or more players, more or less on the stats. Come in here. I'm at 57 times with this promo. Give me $20. I could win $400 something. So I'm going to submit this entry. So you could do the same thing too. Use the promo code UNFAIR that match your first deposit 100% up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. Me and we got Colin Kennedy from Sooners Illustrated 247. Make sure you hit them up and take advantage of the promos they got going. 60% off right now. It's Sooners
Pod 60.
Sooners Pod 60. Take advantage of it. And you get Paramount at the end of the year. Go for a full year. Go to regular price. You get that Paramount subscription as well. And UFC is on that. Colin.
Sir.
Defense. Now, and this is why I said this was one of those efficient classes, because not a whole bunch of flash and glimmer and superstar names. But when you mention a person like I mentioned, Daniel Odom, who is a top 100 player in a lot of the recruiting sites, it's like, wait a minute, at least top 150. And you're like, oh, I did not realize he's going to be this good. I mean, y'all have him at what, fifth? He's a 59th receiver or whatnot, but the talent is there. It's there, and we're not really talking about him, so it kind of surprises you. But defense-wise, though, defense felt like they were 100% saying, oh, we're going to get a lot of these dudes that we know have ridiculous upsides and will actually push for a chance to play. When you have a player like a Jaden Jackson, when you have a player like Cortland Guillory, Eli Bowen, you got these younger guys, but they go out there and play as freshmen. That intrigues recruits. And even with the hot seat talk about Brent Venables at the beginning of the year, these kids saw the opportunity of, oh, y'all will really play freshmen if they're good enough. This class had people excited. So let's highlight a couple of players. We know Jake. We didn't talk about him, man. He a beast. I think he's going to end up in the 2D, period. There's no question about him, because all he's got to do is put on the weight, and you can tell that he's dedicated to the game, the grind, the hustle, all of that to get to where he needs to. But the rest of these dudes, though, there's so many players that have freakishly, just feel like some freaks. Now, I'm gonna give you 2 players real quick that the more and more I watch them, the more and more I'm so intrigued. The Janjo twins.
Yeah.
Have they hit their physical peak yet? That is what I am intrigued by. Right? Is a maybe, because if they come in here yoked, how much more can they get? How much bigger can they get? How much stronger will they get? And how ready? Because one's a linebacker, one's a safety. So to me, they're both cheetahs.
Yep.
At their size, right? That's like the exact measurements that BV looks for, and they have. And as long as they're fast enough, they can do it. I am very intrigued by those 2 and where they're going to go.
The Jandro brothers are going to be. This is where the debate comes in. And you mentioned what Jim Nagy was talking about on a podcast. I don't know which one, but from what you were talking about, he essentially discussed, we're going to find guys that are physical, violent, and fit our system. That's the Jandro brothers to a T. Physicality, sheer violence, sometimes a willingness to put your body on the line, maybe a little bit more than appropriate, like, hey, man, you're putting yourself in danger by playing to that level of physicality. But you love that when you are evaluating high school recruits. That reckless abandonment, I guess is what you say, that's what they have to their core. And by the way, these guys have lived in gyms. It doesn't take a lot of time to find a picture of them after a workout where they look like grown men who own the gym, right? And so look, I don't know how much bigger these guys are going to get. I don't know if the physical limitations are already in place. That's a whole like conversation scouting theory that's a whole rabbit hole. But like for the Jandro brothers, I think if you're Oklahoma, you're really excited about a couple of things. Number one, exactly what Jim Nagy said in his presser. These guys are going to go play special teams at a really high level because of how physical and aggressive they are. That reckless abandonment, they are going to run through someone's face in the third phase, and they're going to go make tackles, and they're going to do their job in the third phase. And again, that's an area of the game that it's so important to have those types of players. However, I think Bowe is going to be a really solid inside linebacker option. I think Nico has, like you mentioned, cheetah elements. A lot of these linebacker safety types, again, go back to that 1.5 scholarship rule that I talk about, where they can play what we would call the mid-skill positions, not like mid-skill, but the middle-level skill groups in your defense. A lot of these guys feel interchangeable, and I think on top of, the muscled-up versions of themselves that they are, the physicality that they play with, the Jandro brothers do feel pretty interchangeable at that second level of the defense. You love that if your name is Brent Venables, and that's the type of player you're looking for, obviously.
Exactly. Now, the biggest question I have with the Jandro brothers is going to be what their speeds are, right? With the 40 times.
Exactly. Yeah,
they
correct.
run. What do they actually clock at? That, to me, is where – that tells me exactly where I think they'll end up being able to play. Like, where would make the most sense. Because, like I said, with their size, they're about the Brent Venables cheetah size. That is what he's looking for. They bigger corners who hit really, really hard. And I love what y'all pointing out here in the comments of players that everyone is excited about. One of those being, Christian Moore, a.k.a. Megatron. When they found him in the late part of the season, CK, I remember seeing him hit, and I'm just like, oh, you have one of those highlight tapes where it's like all you doing is leveling people.
Yeah.
That's the physical violence that we're looking for in this defense. Now, I think that's what made it so tough for me to really pick anybody in this class that I could just really, outside of Jake, that could just hitch my wagon to, because all these dudes actually like hitting people. Markel Ford.
Yeah.
He has his highlights is him knocking people off their block. What am I supposed to do with all of these dudes that like to hit people? I'm lost. Like I don't. It makes it really hard to try to pick. Now, Jacob Curry sounds like winter workout wise is turning everybody's heads.
Yeah.
Florida pickup, another pseudo cheetah size, but it's going to play linebacker, 6'1", 200, probably 10 pounds at this point. Him and Dane Bathurst, to me, really makes me say, huh. Because when we got Dane, thought it was an edge. I think he's listed at edge some places listed linebacker, but he's already walking in basically the exact same size as Danny Stutzman. Can he be a threat like a Danny Stutzman? I mean, he's the exact same size as Cole Sullivan is right now. It's terrifying. They really did find a lot of dudes that are physically at the point of being ready to play today.
Jacob Curry's going to have a shot. It sounds like everything's going well for him right now. And again, he's another one of those interchangeable pieces at the second level of the defense who I think can play inside linebacker, can play cheetah. He has a safety background, by the way, so I do think he will be comfortable playing some slot backer. I made a little bit of an audible noise there because you took the guy I really wanted to talk about. One of the two. Dane Bathurst is like, I mean, another one of those like scouting crushes, right? So I don't think he gets talked about nearly enough because you have a Christian Moore who the scouting staff kind of started to bet on in the summer, and then they went ahead and followed through with that bet into December. You've got the Gendreau brothers, who everyone, I mean, they kind of feel like celebrities at this point. Jacob Curry's commanding headlines. But Dane Bathurst is the guy that I look at and I go, okay, you're like 6'3", 230. Look like a grown man. But this is what I love, and I talked about this extensively with our board. Dane's family tree, okay? His dad is a retired Navy SEAL who was a collegiate swimmer and won the 1998 Big Ten championship in the 50 free. His mother was a swimmer at Minnesota as well, and his sister is a swimmer at Virginia who was the 2022 800 free relay ACC champ.
I'm sorry, what? Yeah, okay, I remember hearing about the swimming, but wow.
So you're talking about the son of a Navy SEAL and two collegiate athletes, all swimming background. Dane, at his size, plays edge and linebacker. There's just so much to like about this guy for me. And he is one that I think doesn't get nearly as talked about. But again, when you do your homework, as you're supposed to, you're like, man, this dude has so many elements to himself. And by the way, I know he's coming from Indiana. He moved there from Florida. So he's got a little bit of that Florida grit to him as well.
Did not realize that.
I am a big fan of Dane Bathurst. He is one of these guys that I am so intrigued by and what it's going to look like being coached by someone like Brent Venables. And then if I could hit you with this, I think it is not an overstatement to say that Oklahoma has the most under-talked about 4-star top 247 cornerback in the history of the rankings. I really believe that. I don't know that anyone talks about Derek Johnson at all. I don't know. When has Derek Johnson ever talked about? Honest question. Like, I said this on signing day in December. I was like, guys, I have never seen a 4-star top 247 cornerback get talked about
as little
0 times, month over month over month. And that's what he is. Derek Johnson is like a 6'1", 6'2" corner with a track background, the son of an NFL player and like all conference selection player at Washington. And he doesn't get talked about ever. Like ever. It has blown my mind for months now. And I'm so glad to vocalize it because it's like when I bring him up, you're like, man, when's the last time you talked about Derek Johnson? It's been months.
It has been that long since the last time you talked about him. You are 100% right. That is very fascinating. It's him and Daniel Odom are the two players. I think it's because they're both out on the West Coast. It's got to be what it is. Those are your two guys that we forget are sizey, talented, everything you're looking for in the 4-star guy range, and everybody's just kind of like, yeah, he's good, and that's it. You just they're not the ones you consider to have the ridiculous upside. They're not the ones that are considered to be a big time sleeper it's, I guess to me, it feels like so many people have gotten their minds with those two that, oh yeah, they're hits. That no one's talking about them anymore. Because you're right. I haven't talked a lot about Derek Johnson. I mean, his dad came on and talked about, what they're looking to do and everything. And great guy, is exciting to see him. No one's really yapping about him. That's a very good point. 6'1", 6'2", already at the size you want at corner. And dad played in the NFL, so he's got the mind for it. Like, yeah, we probably should talk more about him.
I'm not
100%.
sitting here telling you that Derek Johnson's the next All-American cornerback. I'm just telling you, like, what a job by this staff to find a guy who has 4-star talent and makeup to him at a premium position like corner, and he just flew under the radar for almost an entire calendar year. Like, in what world does that happen?
Typically doesn't. That's a good point. It rarely does. No one's really talking about him.
He has just been, every time I look at his name, I laugh because I'm like, man, it really feels like he's the least talked about member of the entire class. And he's a 4-star cornerback. That's nuts.
Man, I guess, being in California, he was committed so early. We just kind of like I said, we just forgot about the kid. I don't know why. You're right.
I'll tell you right now, I DM'd him. It was the summer. I'll never forget it. My wife and I were trying to do like a little mini vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And I DM'd him like, hey man, how'd the visit go? And I mean, again, like a testament to what we're talking about. Derek Johnson was like, oh, it was great. I'm getting ready to commit like here in a little bit. Can I send you some quotes for the story? I was like, what?
Whoa, buddy. I wasn't ready for this. We wasn't prepared. Let me get the computer. Let me start.
First of all, thank you for doing this. This is insanity that a 4-star corner is just volunteering all this. I don't have to like pull tooth and nail for commit quotes and everything, but like, yeah, man, he's awesome. I mean, he's a great kid. And again, it's like, it just speaks to who he is as a player and a person, that he has been that under the radar for this long time.
No, that's a good point, man. Wow. You hit him up and he's like, oh yeah, I'm about to commit. You ready for me? Like, yeah, sure. Let's go for that. Let's get that done. But the efficiency around who they grab, to me, on defense, they got everybody the types that they want. Hard hitters, dudes that will knock your block off the way you want and get you excited. And Jimmy, if I'm correct, there is another younger brother that OU is also recruiting. So we like to be family U. That is what we are going for when it comes to, our recruiting. If you can get guys to town. I mean, we're looking at Trenton Blaylock, right? Tori's little brother. And I know that he's one that is starting to pick up on the recruiting trail. But yeah, man, that's a good point. All right. Matthew Nelson is another one that I have been watching more and more video on. He's a huge human, 6'5". Now he's slight, 215. I think he's bigger than that now. I think he's legitimately bigger than 215. I think he's closer to 230. But yeah, could he be your R. Mason Thomas player that's just that good at the position that you and just completely underrated? Or would that go to Daniel Norman, who seems to have similar attributes out of Florida as you would have gotten at R. Mason Thomas?
Yeah, it's tough. R. Mason finishes a 4-star recruit in his cycle, and that was someone that our director of scouting at 24/7 adored and ended up taking a shot on, and it kind of paid off.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I think R. Mason Thomas probably had a little bit more back end of season momentum and arguably more clearly defined ceiling to him than these other two. Because I think R. Mason Thomas still had a lot of growth to get done, but you could see it. I mean, it didn't take long to watch him coming out of the state of Florida to go, oh, this is someone who is going to generate pass rush at a high level, at the next level.
Yeah.
The two names that you're mentioning, I think that they're both very different yet similar in that when I look at Daniel Norman and you watch him, I have constantly said with Daniel Norman, at the very least, what I know I'm getting here is a DPR floor, designated pass rusher floor. I don't have any question about Daniel Norman's ability in maybe a year or two to get called out onto the field on third down and pin his ears back and go run the hoop, right? And it doesn't take long to see that on tape either. Now, is Daniel Norman going to become a complete 3-down defensive end? It's a big question because he's got a lot of weight to pack on. He's going to have to jump in Norman and get to work quick. It's going to be a lot of time in the weight room and not just packing on physically, but he's got a lot of growth in his game as well to accomplish.
True. Yeah, he's got to add additional tools to his tool belt as far as the way that he not only rushes the ball, but also being able to, make people have to guess if he's rushing or if he's looking for the run itself. So, yeah, that's a very good point.
Well, and he's also going to have to, and there's so much to the intricacies of the position that we don't have time to talk about, but like he's going to be one that has to continue to learn how to set the edge and how to prepare your body to play the run. And this is a defensive line, as we know, that's very active in the games, stunts, twists, all that good stuff. And Daniel Norman is going to probably play a role in that. But he is one that will need some time, as will Matthew Nelson. Now, Matthew Nelson's a little bit different, in my opinion. I think Matthew Nelson has a little bit more of the complete floor, right?
Yeah.
Where you look at him and you go, this is someone who clearly, if you give him a year or two, is going to have the chance to play on all three downs.
That's a good
The biggest question I have with Matthew Nelson is, how long is that going to take, right? Because we are now in the business of all of these players, and this is kind of one of those quiet things out loud moments, but like all these players are in 2-year windows.
Mm-hmm.
In 2 years, we better know what you are, or a lot of these guys are getting the page turned on them.
Yep.
I don't think that's going to happen to Matthew Nelson, for the record. I'm just saying, when Matthew Nelson, he's on campus currently and all that, the clock is already kind of ticking for this guy as a developmental prospect at a position like defensive end. Why I am excited about this player and why I think Oklahoma is excited about this player is because he's going to get to work with Miguel Chavis and Oklahoma's strength and conditioning staff, right? And so the timeline, in theory, should be accelerated. And if it is, I don't want to go as far as to say that this is somewhat similar to the Xavier Okafuluweze conversation, because Xavier is a totally different athlete. But Matthew Nelson has a ton of traits and God-given ability that's hard to find.
It's true.
And as long as you can round out the game, this to me is the player that Oklahoma could turn into someone that's part of that continuous defensive line they present in the SEC.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I can totally see that. They said he has it. The question is when will you see that? When will it come out? When will he blossom into that player? Will he walk in day one and figure it all out? Like I said, there's so many intricacies of that role that it's tough. That's a challenging position. But having Miguel Chavis, who we've seen really refine some of these edges pretty quickly, that may for him, it's going to be about his health, in my opinion, on his game. Like, that's the biggest struggle that PJ dealt with out of Bauer was health. We eliminate that, I think he may do it. Now, here's one more. Someone asked a question. Tank Carrington. This kid has had a very interesting story and life in the recruiting trail itself. Correct. He comes in here 6'1", 290 is what he's listed at measurements. He may be a little bit slightly taller. I think he's probably bigger at this. He may be a little bit bigger also, but he was, as a freshman, sophomore, bigger than everybody else. So he was like a 5-star to start. Like, he was already in the top 20 players in the country because of just being a physical specimen at his size. Then he stopped growing. And when that happens, you kind of slowly see it drop as other players that are physical tools are passing you, kind of hurt you. Now, if he walks in here with the mindset of, yeah, y'all thought I wasn't, I'm going to go ahead and snatch back what I initially had and what I deserve in recognition, could be your next Grayson Halton to me. I think he has the moves for it. He has the size for it. As long as he can fill those gaps. With Bates, he could. But yeah, man, his story is intriguing. When I went back to look, I was like, I could have sworn he was a 5. He was a 5-star in the top 20 at one point in his career. But man, this is how, when you don't have the pseudo quote unquote physical traits, but Oklahoma going back around to him like, you're pretty violent. We'll take you. Trying to come through? Put a smile on your boy's face.
Yeah. So Carrington, this is one that and I have to like choose my words carefully. I don't want to sound like I'm coming off a certain way. Carrington is an interesting case study in that he is someone who is a multi-time transfer at the high school level, went to a few different high schools in a few different areas of the country, injury history, and total body recomposition as well. And so you talk about like at one point he was a big physical specimen. And then all of a sudden, I remember he showed up to the Navy All-American Bowl, and I mean, he looked like he was 249, 252. He was light. At one point, I can tell you, at one point he weighed in at 239.
Wow.
So, like, Carrington is one where it gets out of the gate and it's great, and then move multiple high schools and deal with some injury stuff and lose a ton of that body weight. And maybe sometimes it affects the game, but at the same time, the elements of what made him such a promising prospect are still in there, right? If there is anybody who can get the most out of this specific skill set and case study, it is Todd Bates, right? It is absolutely Todd Bates. And I think when you talk about Carrington and what this defense wants to do, Nagy talked about it. You see it on Saturdays if you watch the tape. Oklahoma wants athletic, penetrating, one-gap style defensive tackles, guys that can go, right? The Grayson Holtons. If it all comes together for Carrington, he has that type of potential to him. There's no doubt about that. That is kind of his skill set. But given what the last few years have looked like for him, the next couple of years moving forward, it really has to go back to what it looked like at the beginning of his high school career. I think Oklahoma is a great place for him to do that because of the teachings he's going to get from Todd Bates, the structure he's going to have within the program. And through this model that Oklahoma has, they're as well equipped as anybody to get Carrington back to being the prospect I think that so many touted him to be at the beginning of his career. And if that happens, they have a dude on the defensive line. That's the big thing, though, the if. And that's why Carrington is such an interesting one to discuss in this class.
Yeah, that is the one that jumps out the most is right there. It's physical. He penetrates. He's violent. He wants to be violent. He doesn't shy away from violence. That's what Oklahoma wants. And I like the fact that they did take a flyer on him. Like I know others were wondering about Deuce Gerald's. Like he was another one in that range that people were curious about, hoping Oklahoma would do a flyer on him as well because of he's about the size of a Grayson Halton as well. He's not the largest dude, but physical. Yeah. Totally understand it. Carrington intrigues me that they are going to give him that flyer, but at the same time, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. That's the expectation.
Correct.
One player we don't really talk about though, too. Another one out there, really, Brian Harris. Like that dude's been so locked in since he committed. It was just like, we don't have to worry about him. I think he knows where he wants to be.
Is there a more Todd Bates guy in this class?
He gets the Todd Bates Award for the most Todd Bates player in this class. Yes.
If anyone on the OU creative team is listening to this show, okay, listen to me when I say this. I will pay you green dollars to record for all of us out there a poetry off. Todd Bates versus Brian Harris. I'll give you money for that. Do it in front of the team, force them to poetry a couple rounds, and put it out there for the world to see. That is pay-per-view caliber television.
That is elite content. You're welcome. That's elite content because I would be tuned in like this.
I want my percentage for that, by the way. I don't need a large percentage, but I am on a journalism salary. So let's make sure when we collaborate on this, and I tell you, I had the idea, just saying.
I'll pay the green dollars for this to happen, and then you give CK a cut after you make some bread on it. We will invest.
It's investing in a stock or something.
Yes, because it's a stock that would fly. That is hilarious, and it is so true. He is 100% the Todd Bates recruit of all recruits on this that he's had. That is so funny. Just unapologetically positive, singing, throwing the poetry out there. Oh, that's so good. And then he also walks out there and he knocks people's heads off. We got a lot of dudes from Florida this year in this class.
Bathurst is from Florida originally.
Yep.
You've got Harris. You've got Curry.
Yep.
How many is it in total?
Daniel Norman.
You've got 5 in Florida. Make it 6 if
Jake.
You Bathurst.
Yep. That is... And then we go and we play the Gators this year in Gainesville. That's actually pretty darn good. I know that gets them excited. Oh, we get close to the crib. We can bring all the family up. Heck yeah, let's do it. It's kind of the point. That's why we're doing that here in our SEC recruiting, right? We remind everyone that we travel everywhere in the country. So, man, we got for an hour and a half. We gonna, I know you fighting something. The cooties is going around everywhere. I'm gonna stuff my face and probably pop some allergy meds and go to sleep too, because the weather is like, it's beautiful here, but it was like negatives like a week and a half ago. So yeah, I'm fighting everything. But let the people. Any closing statements, CK, before we bounce up out of here?
Hopefully we do this again here pretty soon.
Yes.
Always fun seeing everybody in the chat. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure, if you haven't already, subscribed to the channel. Support Coop and Jay. They're at 20.9 thousand. Get it to 21. Get it done. And
folks.
Hopefully, I don't know, next week, a couple weeks, we can talk this transfer class, because I'm going to buzz some tape. That. Hey, man, I think we could have some real ball talk about these transfers.
Agree. That. And I also, let's try to see if we can get something next week if your calendar allows it, because I also want to talk about, because we had portal players out, who's the breakout players that have to take over and take those spots? Who's going to be here? Who's going to be there? Great debate, great topic of conversation. So we're going to do that. Question is, CK, are you ready for softball season?
I mean, who is around Oklahoma and isn't ready for softball season? You know what I mean? I don't personally cover softball, so I get to watch it. This goes against the Big J stuff, but I get to watch it as a fan. So. But I can't wait, man. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a good year. It's going to be a fun year, and it's going to be one of those exciting ones. So, all right, thank y'all for pulling up. Please hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe. Check out Colin Kennedy over there at Sooners Illustrated. Please subscribe. Sooners Pod 60. You get that 60% off, and you can support the Big J. For Coop, your boy Jay, we'll chop it up and see you all, I don't know, in the next couple of days. I got a few videos I'm ready to drop. So people going to be mad at me because, once again, I'm going to defend our offense. We'll see y'all soon. Peace.